Hi guys, welcome to another audio commentary from Clan S1N, and today we have a special guest.
How's it going?
So, this is gonna be the epic commentary that everyone has been waiting for. So, this is a clan battle between S1N versus Mr. So right here you can see that the frontmen, they're engaging in battle in the middle, while the enemy is claiming mass. While my ally on the side is taking out the enemy's island, claiming more mass for himself. And I just did a little push here, so that he doesn't get too much mass. But I failed to push in because he has set up some T1 defense along that line over there. So our strategy here was to pull resources together for an early spider rush around time 14 to 15 minutes. So it's going to be a surprise build. Hopefully it's going to work. We had no idea about the other team at the moment. We don't know how good they are, but judging by their score, they're pretty high up there. So this is going to be probably a very, very close fight. So the enemy is setting up some T2 shield generators, meanwhile getting support from Yellow. Yellow has sent some ground force to support middle, so the spider is almost finished. And once it finishes, we're queuing up another 3 more, just in case. So we'll see what it goes from here.
Alright, so first question. As a frontman, what is your role this early in the game?
My role is to hold in the middle. That's my main role. If it's feasible to push in, I can. But mainly I would just hold in the middle for my allies to attack. So right here you can see that the spider is moving in, just crushing their shields. And they were very surprised, to be honest. They had no idea that anyone could build a spider in simply just 14 minutes. So our build was a success, and the frontman has been defeated. So Yellow here probably has foresaw this kind of strategy somehow. He has built tons of T2 fighters, so he's going to use that on the spider as a natural way to counter it. So you can see that the swarm of fighters emerging, and it's going to take out the spider within just one strike. So that was really something, and we had never expected that. Because we were thinking that, you know, we could just simply push in along with that force and literally just obliterate their force. So right here you can see that there's the second spider, while the enemy has one spider already. So he kind of saw what's coming as well. So I moved my attention towards Yellow because Green already has a spider. Against that kind of force, it's simply a waste of units. But Yellow seems to have some kind of a defense as well. He has built a line of T2 tanks, but my units are mainly T1, so they're not going to do any sort of damage whatsoever. So I move them back, forcing a retreat. And so right here, my ally has moved the spider underwater to the shore. So when the enemy is not looking, he would walk the spider into his base and try to take out the commander or some kind of T3 power plants or T3 mass extractors.
Okay, so let's talk about strategies for countering spiders, since they seem to be used a lot in this fight. What's the best way to support a spider, and what's the best way to counter one?
Right, the best way to support spider is to have a lot of anti-air ground units. So it's ground to air. A lot of T2 flak. But if you're talking about ground units, the best way to counter a single spider is to have a lot of T3s, because the T2 units are simply too weak against spiders. And T3 units in large amounts can be very deadly versus spider, since spiders don't have a lot of HP. Even though their damage is very high, but without a lot of HP, they can simply be brought down. Okay, so right here you can see that the two spiders are battling it out, but my ally doesn't really have the micro to kill the enemy spider. So right here you can see that the other spider has been taken out as well. My ally did not foresee that the enemy has 2 spiders, one on the shore. So the enemy, you can see here, is very experienced. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what's coming.
So just one more quick question about spider usage. Since they have that single beam, that focused beam, is it better when you micro them to have them targeted on big units, or would you rather have them sweep around on smaller units?
Bigger unit always comes first, as bigger units have higher damage usually. So if it's a fight between a bunch of, let's say, T3s and 1 spider, so you would first, of course, target a spider to bring it down, because the spider is going to do more damage than those T3 units, and then sweep the T3 units. So that would be the way to counter that kind of ground force unit. Okay, so these 2 spiders have just been defeated, and the enemy is trying to build as many spiders as he could. Meanwhile, my ally is trying to get some air, but right now the enemy has air superiority, because both of these players are building air units, and only one of my ally is building air, because we have focused our resource on the spider, and that was a huge drain on our mass. So I expect that my ally really don't have that much T3 mass at this point. Probably a lot of T2s. Meanwhile, he's upgrading and building at the same time, so it's going to be very slow, economically wise. So right here, the enemy is building a lot of strategic bombers. Since he has air superiority, he might as well use those air units to do damage. And also he has ground defense, so it's a really, really strong build. And right now my ally is moving up with his fleet, but his fleet is going to fall short due to the lack of air support. As you can see here, the strat bombers are killing the T3 battleship, so it's really bad, as the battleship costs a lot of resource to build. They're pretty much equivalent to an experimental unit in terms of cost and in terms of damage. So
So speaking of battleships, it doesn't seem like those naval units are of much use in this battle right now, because air superiority seems to be a much more valuable thing. So what's so good about naval units in any game?
Naval units are good only when you're supporting them with a large amount of air units. That is the case. So in this case, it's very useless, because the naval units simply don't stand a chance against the T3 bombardments. So unless you have some kind of T3 fighters, a group of T3 fighters just patrolling around this area, taking out some kind of all the T3 threats from the enemy, it's not going to be a wise idea to send in a lone fleet. That's what we call it. So as you can see, the ally has finished that gunship, but he has sent it back because he